what I told this last class was go back and go through your past audition sides and pick out, one that you want to rework using my tools.
Do you want to find your old tape, rewatch the tape, and then retake
I
yourself?
don't know about the tape, but just go back to the texts and practice, doing what I do, what I teach you in terms of breaking down the texts. So what I did this last time, we didn't even get to scooping the words. First of all, I ended the class an hour early because of my sister's birthday party that was going on while I was teaching. And I almost took the class into the party. I should have, but I didn't. So, my whole family was going, yeah, bring them in. So what we did is with Sherlock Holmes, we used the Jim and Mary scene, and we really dug down in that. And it was amazing how several people in the class who I thought took this before.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't do it because they don't practice what I preach. So I think that's the best thing. If they could leave a class and then go get some sides that they kept and try to do what we just did in class on those sides, and then write down questions.
Actually write them down?
Yeah, for me to answer.
Nice.
Yeah.
So is this something that they would schedule with you for private coaching?
Not necessarily. I think that's one of the give backs. I mean, if I have to type everything up, that's not good, but I can just call them and they could say, I had a problem with X, Y, or Z.
I feel like that's something that Nicole said, was that she's had a hard time in classes recently where she's asked a question about the text or about the assignment and is told, why don't you call me for a private?
They can't ask me 10 questions, but they can ask me one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well then, okay. So what you were working on was two things. The first chapter of the book and also the 15th chapter, which you say goes full circle. It's grabbing your lines and other fundamentals and what's the project called.
We didn't get to grabbing lines.
So you just started with what's the project called and did the basics of
Sherlock Holmes. And it was amazing. I mean, they were so excited. So I didn't want to, jump from that to grabbing lines because that has to do with performance. So I just took them down, dreamland. And I would ask them questions like, well, what color is his car? And one person said red, the other person said green, another person said black, undercover. And I said, do you notice, folks, that when whoever's answering the question looks away from me to answer it because they're seeing the pictures. So I had to drive in them the fact that we carry our lives with us in pictures. Understanding, stop acting the plot. Don't act the plot. So, and Kelly was great because she said, oh my God, I've been doing the wrong thing for so long. And
what was she trying to do that this solved?
Oh, she was trying to do plot. She was complete. I'm talking about her past auditions.
Right.
When she was no longer under my tutelage. And so she was so thrilled to be back because she wasn't having any fun. So the last two auditions, she had a lot and this is what she was saying in class, by the way, is that she said, I had so much fun in the last two auditions. I didn't even think about the plot.
So what is it a combination of? Like, what are the tools under what's the project called? Mm-hmm. Is it just that thing where you go every object, every person, every place, and you just talk out loud?
Right, you're right. And if you do that enough, you'll be able to read in a normal way like I do, and I see the pictures as I go. So it's not a separate step. So you work your way through the sides identically.
What do you mean identically?
Pictures.
Just see the picture. Yeah, every single thing.
Is that your car blocking the alley? Well, describe the alley in the car. Go.
What if I'm working alone, right? You've given me this assignment. How should I do that alone? Because there's a difference between putting myself in your hands, who I can trust easily.
In order to begin to do that, you have to actually, paw the ground like you're a horse counting to 10. Yeah, you have to do, very clearly. It's kind of clumsy. It's not going to be smooth. It has nothing to do with performance. So here I have the sides, and I'm saying, is that your car blocking it? So I'm in an alley, and there's a car. I don't know where I am, what alley, where. Let me read to find out. Maybe the writer will help me to answer these questions. So you engage with the writer as opposed to being victimized by the writer.
Right. Instead of turning a pressure cooker on ourselves, like, oh my God, if I miss
Exactly.
something.
Exactly. And you do that when you don't have an audition, when you can take a lot of time with your audition. Yeah.
Have you watched anything recently or seen anything that really jumped out at you?
No, I've been watching a lot of golf.
Any acting
Because
tools embedded in that?
well, yeah, play within yourself.
Wait, what? What?
Golf. Well, those who are into sports knows what that means, but don't try to play outside of yourself. Don't compete with someone else. You play your game. And that's what the best do. And that's what they're doing right now as we speak, as a matter of fact. My guy is actually in the lead.
Who's your guy for what?
Rory
You said-
McIlroy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's amazing. He talks about his game in a bubble. He said, I just have to stay in my bubble, stay in my bubble, stay in my bubble.
Isn't that what you try and teach us when you
Yeah.
say, as long as you're in character, you can do no wrong?
That's exactly right. That's the safety. That bubble is your safety, not trying to please a whole bunch of people.
And so you're saying, as long as we stay playing within ourselves, we actually do the work when we're not under pressure.
Yes. Then when you are under pressure, you won't be under pressure. It's just the way you do it. It's like right now, this golf match is being played at St. Andrews, one of the toughest courses in the world. And these guys are the best in the world that are playing there. They have to find a way to play within themselves and not pay any attention to the huge crowds, not paying attention to the cameras, not paying attention to any of that. And if you always do that, then it's not something new.
And that's the mistake that we make very often. We get all hooked and excited about the shiny new car, but then we don't learn how to drive it.
Well, yeah, what I say to folks is you don't have to learn to act every time you audition. You don't have to learn to act every time you act, but you feel like you do. But if you always have a way of working, then you work the same way with this script as you would do with that script, because this is the way you work. And then I tell the story about Gene Hackman. And
Ooh, tell it.
well, he said that I was taught to act in a studio in Santa Barbara, I think he said, or in California anyway, Los Angeles, Santa Monica, somewhere. And he said, I've always worked that way. They used to fire me for the way I work. They don't fire me anymore. And you have to be willing to be fired in order to play your game. Act the way you act.
Because if you're not willing to be fired, you don't ever hold on to your own self, your own game.
Well, who are you? It depends on who's asking. Well, how cool is that in life, to go through life being every different kind of person, trying to please every other
different
person in your life?
Right. And those of us getting stuck in trying to please our casting directors or our directors.
Your job is to create a craft that you do when you act, and you do it every time you act. Repetition. Yeah, choreography. It's like, why do ballerinas stay so much time at the bar? Muscle memory, muscle memory, muscle memory. Tandu, 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 tandu. And because we human beings learn through repetition. Well, if you're changing the way you work every time you work, you're fucked.
What would you say to those of us who also, we kind of get involved with trying to find the better teacher, the better pay to play, the better casting director, and we sort of mix and match?
Yep.
What can we do to hold our ground while we also need to play this networking game of being seen by as many people as possible?
Well, you have to find your way of working so you don't get lost. If you don't know who you are in your way of working, and if I don't do the same thing for every audition, if I don't prepare when I get cast in a play for first day of rehearsal and throughout the rehearsal process, if I don't do the same thing, what am I doing?